cares for me? Who cares for you?
All right, if you just joined us, it is still Journalist Hangout. I still have the veteran BKO and Mayor Kimpelu right here. All right, BKO, you were talking about the issue of agriculture. How do we make agriculture attractive? You talked about it that we missed our way when the oil boom, the Yankee Poll War and all of that. But how do we now make agriculture attractive, especially for the young Nigerians?
You always told the people in government that there's a need to make agriculture attractive to the young people because we have an aging farming population. When you go to many parts of our country, you see that young people are not really interested in agriculture. The way to encourage them is to bring in technology. These young people who are on social media, even from the way they talk, they are a self-entitled generation. They are not people that you are going to just tell them, go, this is a piece of land, go and, we've given it to you, go and work on it. You must tractorize those fields.
Mechanized.
Yes, that's what I mean. Tractorize the fields, make high-yield seedlings available to them.
Okay.
Yes, make soft loans available to them, give them the startup capital.
Okay.
And get them to realize that there's a lot that they can gain. Then we had DFRI. DFRI back then, during the military era, was meant to create roads in rural communities so that produce from those farms can be easily evacuated and taken to where the markets are.
Yeah, the markets.
Today, if you go to Benue State, a lot of the mangoes, oranges produced, they can't find market for them.
Post-harvest losses.
They can sell a bucket of, I can't even remember how much I bought a bucket of oranges just outside of Boko. Because they will not, who will buy? Government should also work with the private sector to set up companies that would produce maybe fruit juices, for example, in places like Benue where the raw material is readily available. Because it is from such things, from making chocolate out of cocoa, that is where the money is. Sure. The money is not in selling the produce itself. Côte d'Ivoire produces a lot of cocoa. But the money that they make in Switzerland from turning cocoa to chocolate is by far higher than what the people produce it. So we need to do our best in this area. But I believe that the government, all of the policies of government will look back at them. National Accelerated Food Production Program, NAFP, in 1973, Operation Feed the Nation that Obasanjo did in 1976, and rural development authorities that the military came with. Then in 2011, we had the Nigerian Agricultural Transformation Agenda. All of these programs have achieved little or nothing because our focus is on oil.
Until we focus back.
People, if the current government, for example, they have land. Land belongs to the states. What are they waiting for? You see states with so much land, apart from the governor of Niger, that I'm really impressed with his work.
Yes.
These governors are not interested in boosting agriculture. They're interested in awarding contract for overhead bridges in some places where they are not, and airports.
All right. Mayor, in the area of agriculture, Nigeria before is known as a green nation.
And it can still be done.
How do we lose that place?
It's because government took decisive steps to get involved in agriculture. And that's what we should do again. One, all tiers of government must be involved in agriculture. That's number one. And especially states and local governments. Every state. There must be a meeting that will agree among the federal government and the states that every state must be involved in agriculture. You will concentrate on where you have comparative advantage. Whether it is yam that is good here, whether it's cocoa that is good here, whether it is tomato that is good here. Every state will concentrate where they have comparative advantage. Then you will have farms, mechanized farms, and then you will now put people in clusters to form like
rice
a farmer's
rice
club.
growing
Rice growing
clusters.
Yes, like
Okay,
a farmer's club,
okay.
where everybody, if you have in this local government or in this state, you have designated maybe 6
You have 1
points.
hectare.
Yes,
per
you have
person.
6 points as the farming areas where you want to do. You can attract young people, because what you need to do is to provide infrastructure, tractors, seedlings, and all that. The state provides that. Then you allocate the land to each farmer with the support that they want. You have already given them the infrastructure that they need to work. So they will be in a farmers club. They can get that loan. It's not what they are doing, what they did before during the time of Buhari. The governor, Central Bank initiated
Anchor
borrowers, and they just collected the money, and people just went to people who are not even farmers.
How about for states to liaise with other states?
No, that's what I'm saying.
I think Lagos State did with
Because Lagos has not got land, for
That's what I'm
example.
Yes,
saying. That's what I'm
exactly.
saying, that everybody should concentrate where they have comparative advantage. Then when you do that, apart from the fact that you provide the funding through soft loans and then the infrastructure through mechanized farming,
Okay.
then you form them into clubs so that everybody will be able to do that. When the proceeds from such farms,
Yes.
you understand, that will be government will have marketing boards who will buy most of the things from them.
Of them.
You understand? Bought value from these farmers.
At good prices.
The farmer is
Yeah, we used to have that back in
the
the
farmer
day.
is farmer concentrates on producing
production.
things, on production. He will not bother about how am I going
Market.
to
How am
I
sell
going
this.
to
He
sell?
mentioned where people will do they will produce oranges, and there's nobody to buy in Bedouin, and then they will now sell it cheap. But if the government had been involved, they would have gone down or up. There are a lot of
Value
companies
chain.
doing Chivita is doing juices everywhere. Those are the basic
Okay.
products that they
All
need.
right.
But we need to do it properly. Let each state get involved. Let us form farmers club where you put people.
Yes.
Give them do mechanized farming by providing the tractors and they need.
Okay.
The tractors go and work in all those.
I think one of the other is, even in the 70s,
All right.
banks provided loans
Okay.
as part of the agri program of government, but the rate of default was too high.
Okay.
So banks became discouraged from
Sure.
providing loans to farmers.
Sure.
If you look at the Anchor Borrowers Program, in terms of the rate of repayment of the loan, is one of the worst.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because politicians access the funds, people set up fake cooperatives, fake farmers cooperatives, just to access the money, and they never got
Why
involved in
is
farming.
the EFCC and ICPC not looking in that regard? But anyway, let's look at education, okay, because our time is fast spent. Nigeria has the highest number of out-of-school children. How do we address this issue?
We need to address insecurity. Some of the problem is caused by insecurity. And when you look at the number of schools, for example, Boko Haram destroyed hundreds of schools in Borno alone. And they killed thousands of teachers. The out-of-school children that insecurity has caused is monumental. I can tell you because this is something that I witnessed. I traveled to Zamfara to investigate the kidnapping of school girls,
Okay.
and I discovered that school where those guys took away school girls, by the time, after about a year, the school was reopened. By the time the school reopened, only about half of the students were back. The rest, their parents didn't think they should come back.
Okay.
So, and it's like that. The bandits keep targeting schools because they with this Safe Schools project or something.
Okay, Safe School Initiative.
We need to ask ourselves, how well has it helped us to secure those schools? Because security is not simply putting perimeter fencing.
Sure.
It's beyond that. We have to, even tertiary institutions have been attacked by these people. So we need to look at even the Almajiri education.
Okay.
How well has it performed? Can we take it to the next level?
the next
All of those children roaming the streets should actually be in school. And I expect that our governors, especially from the far north, will look at the Almajiri syndrome, just as the governor of Borno has complained, and do their best to take those children off the streets. They have no reason holding bowls, begging for food all over the place. The governor of Borno State said the people who were involved in the attack on business premises during the last protest were these Almajiris. He said it, the governor of Borno State. So how much longer are we going to allow this to continue? A good chunk of the out-of-school children are actually Almajiris. Then we also need to make education free, at least from primary to secondary.
Okay.
Make it free so that poor people, their children can access education. If we do that, the number of people who can afford education would increase, because a lot of these students drop out. They drop out after primary school.
Okay.
Parents won't be able to pay WAEC fees. They won't be able to pay JAM fees. And the private schools is even you don't even contemplate. So if we can make education accessible to all at that level, primary and secondary, it will help to reduce the out-of-school children.
Right.
My own position is that government should take education seriously, more seriously. Most governments don't. And that's the only way we can solve that problem. The amount of money allocated to education is too low. That is the major problem. The amount of money allocated to education is too low. The government, from the federal government to the state government, must consciously increase funding to our education. Because part of the problem is that even those, let's not bother about, apart from the out of school students, those even attending schools, what is the state of some of those schools? You will see pictures in this 21st century of students still going to school and sitting on bare floor. You understand? So we must increase the funding to the educational sector. We must invest heavily in infrastructure. Then we must make education accessible to everybody that wants to have that education. So I agree absolutely that education from the primary to secondary should be free for everybody.
All right, we'll talk more on infrastructure, but let's go over to our next line of conversation, where at independence in 1960, it was the dream of the founding fathers of Nigeria and indeed the world that the country attains greatness. While that lofty dream is yet to be attained, many people believe that Nigerians can look back to see how far the country has come in forging ahead in this journey to greatness. In his nationwide broadcast, President Tinubu expressed hope that despite many challenges facing the country, it remains a strong, united, and viable sovereign nation. Let's share that with you.
Exactly 64 years ago, our founding fathers chose democracy as a form of government and launched the dream of a great country that will lead the rest of Africa out of poverty, ignorance, and underdevelopment. A beacon of hope for the rest of Africa and the world. Over 6 decades later, we can look back and Nigerians worldwide can see how well we have succeeded in realizing the lofty dream of our founding fathers. The world is witnessing and benefiting from the can-do spirit of Nigerian people, our massive intellectual capacity, and our enterprise and industry in all vocations, from art to science, technology to infrastructure. The dreams that our founding fathers envisaged are still work in progress. Every day, we put our hands on the plow, determined to do a better job of it. While it is tempting to focus on what has been left undone and where we have stumbled as a nation, we must never lose sight of how far we have come in forging and holding our country together.
All right, BK, the president talked about infrastructural development, but how have we fared? You know, from 1960 till date, how have we fared? Are we getting better, or what are your thoughts?
I think that when you look back, especially in terms of road network,
Okay.
Nigeria has done very well. Nigeria has done very well because when we were young, at least we could literally count the functional roads that we had. But things have improved tremendously. More roads have been constructed. Rural areas opened up. It is ongoing work. So we still have a lot to do by way of fixing our deplorable roads. But in terms of road network, I would say we have done well. Before 1970, there was no dual carriageway in Nigeria. But later, we had, during the Obasanjo era, military era, we had the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. And then the first dual carriageway in northern Nigeria was constructed by Ibrahim Babangida. That is the Abuja-Kaduna-Kano Expressway. Okay. I even remember that it was the first Prime Minister of Zimbabwe, Robert Mugabe, that he invited to inaugurate the project. And they drove from Kano, because he landed in Kano, there was a Doba for him. Okay. And they drove from Kano all the way to Abuja on that excellent road. That road now has been reconstructed, you know, more bridges have been constructed on it. The Buhari administration, using funds from the Sovereign Wealth Fund, as well as the Abacha Loot, we are almost done with that road. When you look back, Malam Aminu Kano International Airport is the first airport in Nigeria. It began operation in 1936. It actually started operation before the one here in Lagos. Today, look at how many airports we have. Look at how many airports we have. So, again, it is...
With the growth,
you see, we need to get the private sector more involved.
Okay.
Let's have PPP initiatives. That's the only way we can maintain our roads.
But I've heard arguments that, okay, the quality of roads back then and the quality of roads now, back then was better. But what are your thoughts on that?
You see, the thing is, the pressure on funds at this time is far greater than that time, because it's a country that is expanding, the population is greater. And the rate of use of the road will eventually get it eroded. In those days, those roads were very, if you are driving, even some of the roads that I will all constructed there.
Exactly.
But they are not dual carriageway. Our society, in terms of our country, in terms of the number of vehicles plying roads, are far more than before.
Far more.
So if you don't expand those roads, people will die. There will be more accidents and head-on collision, especially on narrow roads. But those roads, I agree, were very durable. The roads constructed by L.A. Banjoko, Dumez, you know, and the rest of them. They are solid, but we've had to now expand them because it's inevitable. Population growth. Look at Nigerian population in 1963. It was just a little over 50 million, less than 60 million. But today we are talking about 200 and
Over
something.
200 million.
So and with greater population, there's greater pressure on infrastructure. So we must find a way to maintain the infrastructure. That's why I said we must bring in the private
sector involvement.
Government cannot fund roads alone. In fact, they can't pay a lot of the contractors. They are owing their contractors trillions of naira. So until we bring in
private sector,
yes, we won't be able to solve some of these problems that we have.
How will you know,
infrastructure. In terms of infrastructure, I would say that we have done very well. From 1960 to date, we have done very. In fact, actually, the only thing, the number one thing you can credit government, successive government in this country for, is in the issue of infrastructure. But we have done exceedingly well. Even the military, as they set us back, most of the bridges that you see in Lagos were built by the military.
Yes.
You understand? And so each government improved on the state of infrastructure in the country, and they've done well. They've done well when it comes to infrastructure, especially during the regime of Murtala. No, this immediate
former President
Buhari. They did a lot in terms of infrastructure. Different things. They collected a lot of loans, did a lot of trains, did a lot of roads.
I think it's rail transport that we've not done well.
We've not done. But now they've started concrete.
Because they've done. Yes, that's what I said. When it comes to roads, we've done well. Even during that Buhari's government, they introduced the idea of companies building roads and then using it as tax relief and all that. So when it comes to infrastructure, I think we have done very well.
Because of our time, the president spoke to Nigerians today. I'll just give you 30 seconds. What do you make of this speech?
I think it's a good speech.
Did it address?
It showed empathy.
It showed empathy.
The president showed empathy. It's a very nice thing to tell people that, look, I understand what you are going through, because it is economic challenges that is paramount now, that is number one in the country now. And I was able to tell Nigerians that, look, I understand, I feel your pain, I know what you are going through, and we are working hard to solve that problem. That is very good. And then he was able to now have some things that they plan to do and to give hope. Because when things are tough like this, you need to give hope. That, okay, we are working on the economy, there's light at the end of the tunnel, and very soon things will start changing. So I think, by and large, it's a good speech.
All right, BK, we all saw this speech. What do you make out of it? You talked about that. The empathy was there. What are your thoughts on that?
No, it's inevitable. A leader must show empathy.
Sure.
People are going through a lot at this time. So it was good that he talked about it. He cannot pretend not to know that people are going through a lot, And he talked about that. Yes, and the need for us to continue to sacrifice. What Nigerians will be happy to see is for progress in the areas where he's making progress to continue. For example, the president came to government at a time when we were spending about 97% of our revenue to service debts. That has improved. It's now in the region of 60, I think 67.
67.
Yes, so that's improvement. And more money is coming in.
Yeah, we can see that in
they are blocking the avenues through which resources are leaking. So more money is coming in. We are beginning to earn a lot more.
Okay.
And I know that their plan is to even reduce the human interference, which ensures that people are able to steal money. We're going to get technology involved.
Okay, good.
And so that our revenue generating agencies, the incidence of theft, stealing what to go to the country is reduced drastically by the infusion of technology. So they are working along that line, and I know that will bring results. But Nigerians need to see the pain that they are going through eased. Whatever we say, no one will remember that some progress have been made until they begin to see progress in terms of their welfare.
Exactly.
So the issue, I want to see the price of petrol come down, for example. Whatever we are doing, whether it is Naira for crude that we are doing with Dangote, it must end up in the reduction
Of the price of it.
price.
Yes.
And thankfully now, the landing cost is going down.
True.
Across the world, they are reducing the price of gasoline, even South Africa reduced because the landing cost is going down. It has responded to the global decline in the global prices. So Nigerians want to see that petrol price go down. Nigerians want to see the value of their currency appreciate. Because everything revolves around it.
Yes.
If we are unable to do this, just give me a
want
little 1 minute. If we are unable to do that, whatever the government does,
It will not.
people will say, no, they've not
Exactly.
done anything.
Correct.
That is always my advice. I
Correct.
told President Buhari at that time, I said, if you build houses in the sky for people, if they remain hungry, they will not credit you with achieving anything. And that, you can't even bring any discussion about what the government is doing. People don't want to hear. They are concerned about the
True. But anyway, thank you very much, gentlemen. How time flies. I wish we had more time. We could have, we could have talked a lot more. But anyway, thank you so much, Mayor. Thank you very much for having this conversation. The veteran.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for having this conversation. And that's it on Journalist Hangout today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can watch the repeat broadcast of this episode tonight at 11 and join us on Sunday from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. for Journalist Hangout on Sunday.